Beneath the world's most famous sacred sites lie entire hidden worlds. This video uncovers 25 concealed structures that have fundamentally changed archaeology. You will see how discoveries from Egyptian pyramids to Turkish underground cities have forced historians to rewrite our entire past. How did ancient builders create such complex subterranean marvels without modern tools? And why were these incredible constructions deliberately buried or forgotten? As we explore these hidden chambers and tunnels, you will gain a completely new perspective on human history and the secrets still waiting beneath our feet. What do you believe is the greatest mystery still buried beneath the ancient world? Sacred sites have always held a dual power, drawing pilgrims and seekers not only to what stands in the light, but to the profound promise of what might lie in shadow. For centuries, our understanding of these places was limited to their surface grandeur, the towering pyramids and majestic temples that defined ancient skylines. Early archaeologists meticulously mapped these visible structures, yet the true depth of their secrets remained tantalizingly out of reach. The very idea of a sacred space implies layers of meaning, both seen and unseen, a truth that modern technology has finally allowed us to grasp. With the advent of tools like ground-penetrating radar and LiDAR, we can now peel back the Earth itself without lifting a single shovel. These technologies act like a new form of vision, revealing entire subterranean worlds that have slumbered in silence for millennia. What they unveil is staggering, a hidden architecture ranging from ceremonial chambers and burial crypts to intricate hydraulic systems, and even underground astronomical observatories. Each discovery frequently upends established historical records, pointing to a level of sophistication among ancient builders that we never imagined. The question of why these structures were so deliberately concealed only deepens the mystery. Were they hidden for sacred rituals meant only for the eyes of the initiated, constructed as shelters from invading armies, or perhaps sealed to protect profound knowledge for future generations? As we begin our journey through these 25 hidden structures, remember that each entry marks a moment where the unseen was violently and beautifully thrust into the light, forcing us to rewrite our entire story of human ingenuity. Our journey begins beneath the sands of Egypt at a place called Hawara. For centuries, the great historian Herodotus wrote of a colossal labyrinth, an underground marvel of 3,000 rooms that defied belief. Many dismissed his account as pure fantasy, an ancient traveler's tall tale. Yet the desert held its secret tight. Modern archaeological surveys using non-invasive technology finally confirmed it. They mapped the enormous foundations of a sprawling complex attached to the pyramid of Amenemhat III. This was not a single building but an entire hidden world of courtyards, endless corridors, and pillared halls, all constructed below the earth. The Labyrinth of Hawara was real. It functioned as a grand administrative and religious nerve center, a place where the practical work of governance seamlessly merged with sacred ceremony. So why go to such extraordinary lengths to build this vast complex underground? The answer lies deep within Egyptian beliefs. The underworld was not a place of fear, but a realm of regeneration and profound power. By building their labyrinth beneath the surface, the Egyptians were physically connecting their most important rituals to the cycle of death and rebirth. This hidden structure was a deliberate bridge between the world of the living and the divine, a concept that finds a powerful echo in our next discovery, where an entire city chose to live in the dark to survive. While the Egyptians built to connect with the underworld, another civilization sealed its dead away to build a new world above. deep beneath the gleaming marble and soaring dome of St. Peter's Basilica lies a completely different realm, a silent city of the dead known as the Vatican Necropolis. This hidden structure, also called the Scavi, is an ancient Roman burial ground that dates back to the 2nd century AD, long before the first stone of the great church was ever laid. It was a secret preserved not by sand but by deliberate burial. When the Emperor Constantine ordered the first basilica built in the 4th century, his engineers filled this entire necropolis with earth, creating a massive, solid foundation right on top of the old graves. For over 1,600 years, this underground city slept in perfect darkness, directly beneath the feet of pilgrims and popes. Then, in the middle of the 20th century, workers digging a tomb for a pope broke through and found a wall from an ancient Roman mausoleum. What followed was one of the most delicate archaeological excavations in history. They discovered a narrow street flanked by ornate tombs, their frescoes and mosaics depicting both pagan myths and early Christian symbols. Inscriptions honored everyone from wealthy Roman merchants to simple believers, and at the very end of this street, aligned directly with the center of the great altar high above, was a simple, humble grave. Around it, archaeologists found graffiti and inscriptions that fervently declared this to be the resting place of St. Peter himself. This was not just a tomb, it was the foundation stone of an entire faith, physically supporting the world's most famous church. The necropolis reveals a powerful truth about sacred sites. They are rarely built on empty ground. Instead, they are layered, with each new generation constructing its monuments directly upon the spiritual bedrock of the past, a pattern of hidden support we find repeated in a land of towering temples and deep jungles. Far from the silent crypts beneath Rome, a different kind of power was being channeled deep within the mountains of Peru. At Chavin de Huantar, the sacred was not a quiet whisper but a roaring, disorienting force. This ancient ceremonial center, built over 2,500 years ago, is a masterpiece of psychological architecture. Its builders did not just carve tunnels and chambers into the earth, they engineered an entire sensory experience designed to overwhelm and transform. A complex network of narrow, windowless galleries and precisely angled ventilation ducts winds through the darkness. But these were not just for air, they were sophisticated sound conduits. Archaeologists have discovered that when water was channeled through certain canals, the resulting roar would be amplified and distorted as it traveled through these stone passages. The sound would seem to come from everywhere and nowhere at once, a disembodied thunder echoing through the pitch-black maze. This was not an accident, it was acoustic manipulation on a grand scale, a tool for shamanic rituals where disorientation was the first step toward revelation. Deep within this labyrinth, in a cruciform chamber that sits at the very heart of the complex, resides the Lanzon. This towering, blade-like monolith is carved with the image of a snarling deity, part human, part jaguar, part snake. It was never meant to be seen in full light by worshippers. They would have encountered it in flickering torchlight, its form emerging from the shadows as the sound of rushing water and chanting priests filled the cramped space. The precision of the stonework, the flawless alignment of the ducts, and the understanding of how sound behaves in confined spaces all point to a culture with an advanced grasp of both engineering and human psychology. These hidden structures were not merely functional, they were the very mechanism of the divine. The architects of Chavin de Huantar understood that true awe is born from a loss of control, from being plunged into a reality where the normal rules of the world no longer apply. They used the earth itself to create a theater of the senses, proving that the most powerful sacred spaces are those that reach inside you, altering your perception before they ever try to change your mind. The architects of Chavin manipulated perception, but in the stark landscape of Cappadocia, an entire civilization chose to disappear entirely. Derinkuyu is not a temple or a tomb, but a complete subterranean city carved directly into the soft volcanic rock of central Turkey. Its discovery was a moment of pure chance. In 1963, a man renovating his home knocked down a wall in his basement and found himself staring into a dark, seemingly endless abyss. He had accidentally uncovered the entrance to a lost world. This was not a single cave or a simple shelter. Derinkuyu is a sprawling, 18-level complex plunging 85 meters deep into the earth, a vertical metropolis capable of sustaining up to 20,000 people for months at a time. The scale of this hidden structure is almost incomprehensible. It contained everything a surface city would need, from living quarters and kitchens to stables for livestock, intricate wine and oil presses, and even dedicated chapels for worship. Deep ventilation shafts provided a constant supply of fresh air to even the lowest levels, while protected wells tapped into the groundwater far below. The entire city was designed for one primary purpose: survival. Massive, circular stone doors, each weighing several hundred kilograms, could be rolled across key passageways to seal the city off from the world above. These were the ultimate defensive measure, protecting the inhabitants from the armies and raiders that frequently swept across the region. The city dates back at least to the Byzantine era, a refuge for Christians seeking safety from persecution, though some of its deepest levels may be far older. Derinkuyu forces us to completely rethink the concept of ancient urban life. It proves that communities were capable of incredible, coordinated engineering, not just to reach for the heavens, but to burrow into the safety of the earth. This was not a temporary hideout, it was a sustainable, planned habitat, a testament to human ingenuity born from sheer necessity. Here, the greatest sacred value was the preservation of life itself, a communal secret held safe in the dark. While entire cities could be carved underground, the most famous monument of all was hiding secrets in plain sight. For centuries, the Great Pyramid of Giza was presented as a solved puzzle, a magnificent but fundamentally simple tomb for the pharaoh Khufu. Its known chambers, the King's Chamber, the Queen's Chamber, and the Grand Gallery, were mapped and measured, and the story seemed complete. But the pyramid, it turns out, was guarding its deepest mysteries behind millions of tons of stone. The entire narrative of this ancient wonder was turned upside down by a quiet technological revolution. Scientists began using muon radiography, a technique that uses cosmic ray particles to see through solid rock, much like a medical X-ray sees through flesh. What they found was staggering. High above the Grand Gallery, they detected a massive cathedral-like space, now called the Big Void. This hidden chamber is over 30 meters long, and its precise function remains one of archaeology's greatest enigmas. Another, smaller void was also spotted near the pyramid's north face. These are not minor cracks or natural formations. They are deliberate architectural spaces, sealed away for over 4,500 years. The discovery has sent shockwaves through the Egyptological community, igniting fierce debates. If the pyramid was just a tomb, why construct such enormous, inaccessible chambers? Could they be relieving chambers designed to distribute the immense weight of the structure, a testament to engineering genius we never credited them with? Or might they hold the untouched burial goods of the Fourth Dynasty, artifacts that could rewrite our understanding of the Old Kingdom? Some researchers even propose the voids played a role in celestial alignment or spiritual practices, channeling energies or focusing astronomical sightlines in ways we can barely comprehend. Every time we believe we have unraveled the final secret of the pyramids, the sands of Giza shift again, revealing just how much we have yet to learn from the silent stone giants. The silent stones of Giza guard their secrets in vast, empty spaces, but at the ancient city of Tiwanaku in Bolivia, the greatest mystery lies not in voids but in water. High on the arid Altiplano plains, the ruins of this pre-Incan civilization seem to speak of sun and stone, dominated by the imposing Acapana pyramid. Yet beneath this monumental structure and its surrounding temples, archaeologists uncovered a completely different kind of sacred space, a sunken ceremonial plaza that functioned as the heart of a hidden hydrological system. This was not a simple courtyard, but a complex network of underground drainage channels and holding chambers carved with incredible precision from massive stone blocks. The system was engineered to control the flow of water with an almost supernatural accuracy, channeling it through a series of conduits and pools during major rituals. Imagine the scene during a ceremonial gathering. Water would be released to cascade through these hidden channels, flowing in a preordained path that mirrored the celestial order above. The alignment of these water features with solstice sunrises and lunar cycles suggests the Tiwanaku people saw a direct, physical link between the water flowing beneath their feet and the movement of the heavens. This was more than just advanced plumbing, it was a form of liquid astronomy. Artifacts recovered from these subterranean spaces, including finely crafted ceremonial cups and containers, point to water's central role in purification rites. Participants may have been anointed with this carefully channeled water, a substance that had traveled through the ritual landscape itself, connecting them to both the underworld and the cosmos. This discovery has completely transformed our understanding of Tiwanaku, revealing it not merely as a collection of impressive surface temples, but as an integrated hydrological marvel where engineering and spirituality were one and the same. The life-giving and cleansing power of water, so precious in that high desert environment, was literally built into the foundation of their faith, guiding us to another culture that mastered the sacred flow of water deep within the earth. The mastery of water at Tiwanaku reveals an ancient desire to channel nature's power, but the Roman Empire perfected the art of hiding its own influence. Beneath the sprawling, sun-drenched complex of Emperor Hadrian's villa at Tivoli lies a world of calculated shadow, a network of hidden corridors known as the Cryptoporticus. These were not crude tunnels, but beautifully constructed subterranean galleries, their vaulted ceilings and decorated walls forming a secret circulatory system for the entire imperial estate. While the villa above showcased grand courtyards and sunlit gardens, this underground network allowed the emperor and his court to move between buildings completely unseen, shielded from the oppressive Italian heat. The practical genius is obvious, but the Cryptoporticus served a far deeper purpose than mere comfort or convenience. These concealed passages provided absolute security and discretion, enabling private political meetings and the unseen movement of guards. Yet they were also deeply sacred spaces. Along the walls, archaeologists have found numerous niches carved into the stone, small altars that once held religious offerings and statues of household gods. This reveals a profound Roman belief that the divine could be woven into the very infrastructure of daily life, present even in the transitional spaces between one room and the next. The walls themselves are adorned with intricate mosaics and stucco work that reflect Hadrian's well-documented fascination with the cultures he encountered across his vast empire, from Egyptian motifs to Greek philosophical symbols. Here, the hidden structure was not a separate, sealed realm, but an integral layer of a living, breathing palace. It facilitated everything from the most mundane daily routines to the most solemn spiritual acts, proving that for ancient elites, power and piety often resided in the spaces no one else could see. The invisible corridors of Hadrian's villa challenge our very definition of a hidden structure, showing that sometimes the greatest secrets are not buried for eternity, but are simply kept out of sight, operating just beneath the surface of the everyday world. The hidden corridors of Hadrian's villa show power operating just out of sight, but on the sun-scorched island of Malta, an entire society descended into the earth to meet their gods. The Hal Saflieni Hypogeum is a labyrinth of death and ritual carved directly into the living limestone, a subterranean world spanning 3 distinct levels and dating back to an almost unimaginable 4,000 years before the Common Era. Its discovery in 1902 was as accidental as it was startling, when construction workers breaking ground for a new housing project suddenly found the roof of a chamber collapse beneath them, revealing a void that had been sealed for millennia. This was not a simple cave or a single tomb, but an enormous, multi-level necropolis meticulously engineered to mirror the massive stone temples that stood above ground. The architects replicated everything from corbelled ceilings and trilithon doorways to carved pillars and painted spirals in red ochre, physically creating an underworld that was a perfect duplicate of the world of the living. This was a profound statement of belief, a conviction that the afterlife was a direct continuation of earthly existence, requiring a familiar and equally grand setting. The Hypogeum served as a collective burial site for an entire community, with the remains of thousands of individuals found in its labyrinth of small, claustrophobic chambers. Yet its purpose stretched far beyond mere interment. Deep within the third and lowest level lies the so-called oracle room, a small, oval chamber with a peculiar property. A deep male voice spoken into a specific niche in the wall produces a resonance that seems to vibrate through the entire complex, a low, hypnotic hum that can be felt in the bones. This was no accident of geology. The Neolithic builders sculpted this room and others like it to possess these precise acoustic anomalies. Sound becomes a tangible, sacred force here. In the flickering torchlight, with chanting or drumming focused through these sonic amplifiers, rituals would have been overwhelmingly powerful, blurring the line between the physical and the spiritual. The advanced knowledge of rock cutting, structural integrity, and acoustic science displayed at the Hypogeum completely shatters our image of Neolithic people as primitive farmers. They were master architects of both space and experience, using the very rock beneath their feet to construct a bridge to the other side. The Hypogeum does not just ask us to look at the past, it urges us to listen, to hear the faint echoes of ceremonies that sought to make the unseen world audible. The profound silence of the Hypogeum gives way to the humid air of a Cambodian jungle, where another marvel conceals its depths beneath a triumphant facade. Angkor Wat, the world's largest religious monument, has always presented a face of celestial harmony, its 5 iconic towers reaching for the sky. But its true complexity was buried not by time but by the sheer scale of its own grandeur. For centuries, the temple was understood through its breathtaking bas-reliefs and soaring architecture. Then, LiDAR technology peeled back the forest canopy and the very soil to reveal a stunning secret, an entire subterranean world supporting the structure above. This was not just a foundation, but a network of hidden passageways, foundational galleries, and intricate water channels woven beneath the temple's massive stone platform. Some of these chambers are believed to be unexcavated libraries or secluded spaces for meditation, where priests could retreat from the world. Others, with their strategic layouts, suggest a more practical purpose, serving as secure escape routes for the royal court during periods of siege or invasion. Perhaps most intriguing is the celestial connection. The alignment of these hidden passages mirrors the temple's famous orientation to the equinoxes, suggesting that the Khmer architects designed a complete cosmic circuit, both above and below the ground. Water, so central to the empire's hydraulic city, was also masterfully controlled in these depths, with channels that may have served both ritual purification and structural cooling, preventing the massive edifice from sinking into the soft earth. This discovery has completely revised our understanding of Angkor Wat. It was not merely a temple to impress the heavens, but a deeply rooted engine of spiritual and royal power, its hidden veins as essential to its function as its visible heart. The grandeur was always supported by an equally grand and deliberately concealed foundation. The flowing water of Tiwanaku gives way to a desert kingdom that mastered the very same element. The rose-red city of Petra is world-famous for its breathtaking facades carved directly into towering cliffs, but its true genius lies in what you cannot see. Beneath the surface of this ancient Nabatean capital runs a complex, hidden network of tunnels, channels, and cisterns that transformed a barren landscape into a thriving oasis. While the treasury and the monastery capture the eye, it was the subterranean aqueducts that sustained the city's very heart. The most vital of these was the Sikh Aqueduct, a water channel carved into the walls of the narrow, winding canyon that serves as the main entrance to Petra. For centuries, visitors walking through the Sikh admired the dramatic cliffs without realizing they were traversing a masterpiece of hydraulic engineering. The Nabateans did not just carve a simple gutter, they engineered a system with sophisticated pressure reduction chambers to control the violent flow of seasonal floods, and they lined the channels with waterproof cement to prevent precious water from seeping back into the dry earth. They even installed intricate filtration systems using sand and gravel to purify the water before it reached the city's hidden reservoirs. But this was more than just ancient plumbing. These concealed waterways were threads connecting the practical to the divine. Specific channels were meticulously routed to feed sacred pools within the city's major temples, turning the act of water distribution into a continuous ritual. The life-giving fluid that flowed from the highlands was channeled not just to public fountains and private homes, but directly to the altars of the gods. This seamless integration reveals a civilization that saw no separation between surviving and worshipping. To control water was to wield a divine power, and by burying this vital network, the Nabateans protected their source of life while imbuing it with profound spiritual significance. The hidden hydraulics of Petra force us to look past the grand monuments and recognize that the greatest wonder was often the invisible infrastructure that made everything else possible, a truth that echoes powerfully in our next discovery, where a different kind of structure was hidden not for survival, but for the soul's salvation. The seamless integration of water and worship in Petra demonstrates how infrastructure can become sacred. But beneath the modern streets of Paris, a different kind of reverence was forged from pure necessity. The Catacombs of Paris are a sprawling, shadow city of tunnels and quarries that hold the carefully arranged bones of more than 6 million people. This vast ossuary began not as a place of pilgrimage, but as a solution to a crisis. By the late 18th century, the city's cemeteries were so overflowing that they posed a dire threat to public health. The solution was as grim as it was pragmatic. The remains were systematically exhumed and transferred at night into the abandoned limestone quarries that snaked beneath the city. What began as a massive public works project, however, slowly transformed into something far more profound. The bones were not simply dumped. They were meticulously organized by quarry workers into macabre works of art. Walls of femurs and skulls curve into decorative patterns, with tibias forming neat, geometric patterns behind them. These galleries are punctuated by altars and plaques bearing poetic reflections on mortality, turning a chaotic repository of death into a strangely serene and ordered space. This hidden structure challenges every definition of a sacred site. It was born from urban decay and sanitation policy, not spiritual doctrine. Yet over centuries, it has evolved into a place of deep reflection and macabre reverence where visitors walk in hushed silence. The catacombs also served as a secret refuge, providing hiding places for resistance fighters during World War II and for revolutionaries in earlier uprisings, adding layers of historical significance to its skeletal walls. This network forces us to ask, where does the sacred truly reside? It shows that profound respect for the dead and contemplation of our own mortality can emerge even from the most utilitarian and hidden of structures, a space where the bones of a city literally became its foundation. The catacombs of Paris show how necessity can forge sacred space, but in the highlands of Ethiopia, an entire sacred landscape was carved from the earth with divine intention. Lalibela's 11 rock-hewn churches are breathtaking, each one a monolithic structure chiseled downward from the living rock. Yet their true power lies not in what stands in the open air, but in the shadowy world that connects them. Beneath the famous cross-shaped church of St. George and the towering pillars of Bet Medhain Alam, a labyrinth of tunnels, crypts, and narrow passageways weaves an entire subterranean city of faith. These are not mere corridors, they are integral components of a spiritual journey. Pilgrims do not simply walk from one church to the next, they descend into darkness, navigating a symbolic path between the earthly and the divine. The hidden network includes stark hermit caves where ascetics sought solitude, and silent burial chambers for priests and royalty, physically layering the community of the living with the legacy of the dead. Discoveries within these sealed spaces have been profound, revealing ancient processional crosses, fragile illuminated manuscripts on goat skin, and devotional artifacts that trace the deep roots of Christianity in this region, entirely isolated from the wider medieval world. The engineering behind this is staggering. Workers had to first carve a massive trench downward around a single block of solid volcanic rock, then hollow out the interior to create the church itself, all while simultaneously excavating the labyrinth of tunnels below, a three-dimensional puzzle executed with extraordinary precision. This hidden dimension was deliberately designed to enhance the pilgrim's experience, moving them from the brilliant sunlit courtyards into the cool, confined darkness, only to re-emerge into the awe-inspiring space of a church interior. It is a physical metaphor for spiritual seeking, a journey where one must go down into the earth to feel closer to heaven. Lalibela's architects understood that the path to revelation is rarely a straight line, but a descent into the mysteries that support the visible world. While the rock-hewn churches of Lalibela were carved to last for eternity, the sea has a way of reclaiming even the most sacred ground. Off the coast of Mamallapuram in southern India, the Bay of Bengal hides a city of gods beneath its waves. Marine archaeologists surveying the seabed discovered a stunning complex of submerged temples and shrines, their intricate stonework preserved in a watery tomb. These structures date back to the 7th century, to the era of the Pallava dynasty, a time of unparalleled artistic and architectural brilliance. The carvings are breathtakingly detailed, depicting deities like Vishnu and Shiva alongside scenes from great mythological epics. A massive lion statue, a symbol of Pallava power, stands guard on the seafloor, while the outlines of what was likely a large ceremonial center stretch across the submerged landscape. The most compelling theory for their submergence is a gradual rise in sea levels over the centuries, slowly swallowing this sacred port city until it vanished from human memory. Paradoxically, the water that claimed these temples also became their greatest protector. The sea sealed them in a time capsule, shielding the carvings from later alterations, invasions, and the wear of weather that affected their counterparts on land. This gives us a pristine snapshot of 7th century Indian architecture and religious practice, frozen in a moment of time. Today, these hidden structures are accessible only to divers who can swim through ancient doorways and hover above plinths where priests once performed rituals. The discovery forces a profound reflection on the relationship between human civilization and a changing planet. It reveals that environmental shifts are not just a modern concern, but a powerful historical force that has reshaped the sacred geography of our world for millennia. What other coastal civilizations, what other holy sites, now lie silent and unseen beneath the rising tides, waiting for their stories to be told? Beneath the polished flagstones of Westminster Abbey, where kings and queens are crowned in full view of the world, lies a silent city of the dead. This is not a single crypt but a layered maze of burial chambers, stacked and interred over nearly 1,000 years. For centuries, these spaces remained sealed, their secrets protected by stone and tradition. It was only during essential renovations and careful archaeological investigations that their doors were opened once more, revealing a hidden history written in lead and bone. Researchers found more than just coffins. They uncovered a vertical timeline of British history. The oldest levels held medieval bishops in simple stone caskets, while above them rested the elaborate lead coffins of Tudor monarchs, their forms still recognizable in the cold metal. Deeper digs revealed previously unknown rooms, small chapels that had been walled off and forgotten, their walls adorned with faded frescoes of saints and angels, glimpses of a vibrant artistic past now preserved in darkness. Each discovery within these crypts acts as a precise time capsule, a poet's ring, a scientist's engraved instrument, or a queen's forgotten prayer book. These artifacts speak volumes about the people who shaped a nation. The burial practices themselves tell a story of evolving beliefs, from the stark simplicity of early Christian interments to the grandiose, status-driven monuments of the Baroque era. What makes Westminster Abbey so unique is this continuous, unbroken use. The same sacred ground has been built upon, generation after generation, with each new floor literally resting on the legacy of the past. The hidden crypts are not a separate entity from the glorious church above. They are its foundation, both physically and spiritually. They preserve the tangible memory of individuals whose collective lives form the very backbone of a culture, a nation's legacy resting in quiet darkness just steps below the living. The silent crypts of Westminster Abbey preserve a known history, but beneath the towering pyramid of the sun in Teotihuacan rests a mystery that redefines the very purpose of a pyramid. For decades, this massive structure was seen as just another grand monument, its purpose seemingly obvious. Then, a startling discovery was made deep underneath its core, a natural cave system expanded by human hands into a sprawling, sacred tunnel. This was not a foundation, but a destination. The entrance, located just a few meters from the pyramid's base, was sealed for over 2,000 years, deliberately hidden from the world above. When archaeologists finally broke through, they found a narrow, perfectly carved passage descending into the earth, so long and treacherous that robotic cameras had to be sent ahead to map its depths. What they revealed was an underworld of astonishing complexity. The tunnel stretches for more than 100 meters, leading to a series of chambers deep beneath the pyramid's very center. These rooms were not empty. They were filled with a breathtaking array of ritual offerings, from finely carved jade statues and obsidian blades to enigmatic spheres of polished pyrite that would have glittered like miniature stars in the torchlight. But the most perplexing find was pools of shimmering liquid mercury. In the ancient Mesoamerican world, mercury was a substance of profound mystery, its fluid, metallic nature linking it symbolically to the underworld, a realm of reflective lakes and rivers. The presence of this dangerous, mesmerizing element suggests these chambers were used for rituals that reenacted the creation of the world itself, ceremonies where priests or shamans would descend into the earth to commune with underworld deities. The entire tunnel is a sacred axis, a physical connection between the celestial power embodied by the pyramid and the chthonic forces of the world below. This completely shatters the old view of Teotihuacan's pyramids as solitary tombs or temples. They were instead the visible peaks of a vast, hidden spiritual geography, active portals in a living landscape. The city's famous Street of the Dead, with its precise astronomical alignments, was only half the story. The true cosmic circuit ran deep underground, in spaces meant only for the eyes of the gods and those who served them. The underground cities of Cappadocia sheltered entire communities from invaders, but they also protected something far more delicate, the soul of a faith. Beneath the famous fairy chimneys and the visible rock-cut churches of Göreme lies a second, deeper layer of sacred secrecy. While the world above was torn by religious conflict and iconoclasm, a movement that systematically destroyed religious images, the faithful of this region descended into the earth to preserve their most precious treasures. They carved not just simple chapels but entire subterranean sanctuaries, their entrances cleverly concealed behind what looked like solid rock walls or hidden within ordinary-looking dwellings. These were not merely places to hide, they were vibrant centers of worship, sealed away from a hostile world. The true shock for archaeologists came when they managed to open these long-forgotten spaces. Inside, the walls erupted with color. Elaborate frescoes depicting scenes from the Bible covered every surface, from the dome-like ceilings down to the narrow arches. The vibrant reds, deep blues, and brilliant golds were so fresh they seemed to have been painted only yesterday. Here was the Virgin Mary and the Christ child, there the solemn faces of the apostles, all preserved in stunning detail precisely because they had been hidden from view. These images were a direct act of defiance, a way of safeguarding a visual theology that was being erased on the surface. The underground network was a complete spiritual ecosystem. It included living quarters for priests, storerooms for liturgical wine and oil, and baptismal fonts, all connected by a maze of tunnels that could be blocked in an instant with massive, rolling stone doors. This was a faith that adapted to survive, finding a way to flourish in the dark when it could not safely exist in the light. The survival of Göreme's hidden churches is a powerful testament to a profound human truth, that the desire for spiritual expression is relentless, and that sometimes the most potent sacred spaces are those we are forced to keep secret. The secret chambers of Giza's Great Sphinx guard a mystery far deeper than the sand surrounding it. Legends whispered for centuries speak of a lost hall of records, a hidden library said to contain the wisdom of a vanished advanced civilization, sealed beneath the statue's massive paws. Modern science has given startling weight to these age-old stories. Ground-penetrating radar and seismic surveys have revealed a labyrinth of anomalies, suggesting the presence of chambers and tunnels carved directly into the limestone bedrock below the Sphinx. These are not mere fantasies, they are physical voids detected by multiple independent studies. One of the most compelling findings is a large, rectangular cavity directly beneath the Sphinx's front paws, a space that aligns eerily with descriptions of an antechamber to the legendary hall. While full-scale excavation has been restricted to protect the monument's structural integrity, smaller investigations have confirmed the area is anything but solid. Archaeologists have uncovered ancient repair shafts from the time of the pharaohs, proof that even thousands of years ago, people were accessing and modifying the substructure. They also found evidence of natural cavities and fissures, features that the original builders may have incorporated and expanded upon for their own enigmatic purposes. The debate over what these hidden structures contain is fierce. Some researchers believe they hold artifacts from predynastic times, relics that could completely rewrite the timeline of Egyptian civilization. Others propose they are symbolic tombs connected to the god Osiris, or even functional structures marking access to underground water channels, a vital resource in the desert. The true purpose of the Sphinx itself is wrapped in this subterranean mystery. Was it primarily a guardian, its hidden chambers meant to deter the unworthy? Or was it a sophisticated solar marker, its tunnels aligned to capture the sun's rays during specific celestial events, with the chambers below serving as a kind of spiritual battery? The evidence remains tantalizingly out of reach, encouraging a blend of rigorous science and open-minded curiosity. The Sphinx continues to hold its secrets close, a silent sentinel reminding us that the most profound truths often lie just beyond our grasp, waiting in the dark. The silent Sphinx guards its secrets, but in the nearby Valley of the Kings, the very mountains are riddled with deliberately forgotten spaces. Beyond the famous, opulent chambers of kings like Tutankhamun, the valley conceals a sprawling underworld of practical necessity. Recent surveys using ground-penetrating radar and thermal imaging have peeled back the limestone cliffs to reveal a shocking truth. The known royal tombs are just the surface of a much deeper, hidden network. These are not grand burial chambers, but a subterranean support system essential to the valley's sacred function. Archaeologists have mapped unfinished tombs abandoned mid-construction, their walls telling a story of changed plans or sudden royal deaths. They have found discreet storage chambers cut deep into the rock, likely holding the tools and materials used by the tomb builders themselves. Perhaps most ingeniously, they discovered sophisticated flood mitigation systems, carefully engineered channels and barriers designed to divert rare but devastating desert rainstorms away from the precious tomb entrances. This reveals a constant, practical battle against the environment to protect the eternal resting places of the pharaohs. Some of the newly detected chambers, with their specific layouts and residue analysis, suggest they were used for the sacred and secretive process of embalming. Others appear to have been workshops where artisans crafted the countless funerary goods, from shabby figurines to golden jewelry, that would accompany the king into the afterlife. Each of these hidden structures adds a crucial layer to our understanding of New Kingdom burial practices. They show that creating a royal tomb was not a solitary act of carving a single chamber, but a massive, ongoing industrial operation with its own hidden infrastructure. The goal was not just grandeur, but perfect, eternal concealment. The constant innovation in hiding and protecting these sites speaks to a genuine fear of desecration and a profound desire to safeguard the pharaoh's journey through the underworld. This ongoing exploration proves a humbling truth for archaeology, that even the most extensively studied place on Earth can still yield profound secrets from the shadows, reminding us that the story is never truly finished. Rome's own hidden city of the dead tells a story not of sanitation, but of secrecy and survival. Far beneath the bustling streets of the modern capital, a sprawling network of catacombs tunnels for miles through the soft, easily carved tufa rock. These were not the crowded ossuaries of a later era, but the sacred burial grounds and clandestine churches of early Christians, created during a time when their faith was a capital offense. For centuries, these galleries remained sealed and forgotten, their entrances lost to history until a chance discovery in 1593 by workers digging for pozzolana earth. They broke into a wall of bones and behind it found an entire world preserved in darkness. The scale is almost unimaginable, with some individual catacombs like those of St. Calixtus containing the remains of 500,000 people, laid to rest in shelf-like niches carved into the volcanic stone walls. But these were far more than just cemeteries. In times of violent persecution, these silent, lamp-lit corridors transformed into secret spaces for worship and refuge. The walls are a living tapestry of early faith, covered in vibrant frescoes depicting biblical scenes like the story of Jonah or the Good Shepherd. Simple yet powerful symbols were scratched into the stone, a secret language of belief, the fish, the anchor, and the Chi-Rho monogram declaring a follower of Christ. Archaeologists have uncovered thousands of inscriptions on marble slabs sealing the tombs, poignant messages of hope and grief that name the deceased and offer prayers for their souls. The very layout of the catacombs reveals a highly organized community with specific areas reserved for martyrs, whose tombs quickly became powerful pilgrimage destinations. Pilgrims would leave small oil lamps and scratched prayers near these revered sites, creating focal points of devotion deep within the earth. This hidden structure, born from sheer necessity and fear, was gradually sanctified through memory and ritual. It became a spiritual fortress, a place where a marginalized community could bury its dead with dignity and practice its faith in safety. To walk these tunnels today is to trace the literal underground roots of a global religion, a tangible connection to a time when the most sacred spaces were those the world was not meant to see. Far beneath the waves of the East China Sea, a stone puzzle waits on the ocean floor. Off the coast of Yonaguni Island, Japan, a diver in the 1980s discovered what appeared to be a vast, sunken city. Massive structures rose from the seabed, featuring stark, clean terraces, sharp 90-degree angles, and what looked unmistakably like grand staircases ascending toward a surface they would never reach. The moment these images reached the wider world, a fierce debate was born. Are these the carved ruins of a lost civilization, or simply a breathtaking geological fluke? The formations, now known as the Yonaguni Monument, are colossal. The main structure is a massive rectangular block nearly 150 meters long and 40 meters high, a complex of platforms and steps that feels entirely architectural. Its surfaces show clean, partitioned tiers and what some researchers argue are tool marks and symbolic carvings, including a face like a Moai statue and a formation that resembles a turtle. The most compelling argument for a human hand lies in its precision. In a region dominated by eroded, rounded rock, these structures stand out with their stark, linear geometry. If they are natural, they are a 1 in a million anomaly. If they are artificial, they point to a prehistoric culture with the capability to carve and move megalithic stones, a society that thrived when this area was dry land, over 10,000 years ago, before the rising seas at the end of the last ice age swallowed their world. This timeline is what sends shockwaves through conventional history, suggesting a sophisticated human presence in Japan millennia earlier than accepted models allow. The potential sacred nature of the site deepens the mystery. Specific features seem to align with astronomical events, with one key terrace potentially marking the summer solstice sunrise. Another large, flat area surrounded by smaller stone seats evokes the feeling of a ceremonial plaza or an open-air theater, a place for communal gathering and ritual. This transforms the site from a possible settlement into a potential holy center, a place where people connected with the cosmos from a shoreline that no longer exists. The debate itself is a powerful lesson in how we see the past. Our eyes, trained by our own experiences, look for patterns that confirm our beliefs. To some, Yonaguni's angles are too perfect to be anything but human. To others, the forces of sandstone fracturing along natural plains can create equally astonishing geometry. The truth may lie somewhere in between, a natural formation enhanced by ancient hands for a sacred purpose. Whether a masterpiece of nature or humanity, the submerged megaliths of Yonaguni stand as a permanent, haunting question, a reminder that the maps of our ancient world are still incomplete, with entire chapters of human history potentially hidden beneath the waves, waiting for the right perspective to bring them into focus. The debate over Yonaguni's origins shows how landscapes can conceal entire histories, but beneath the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, the earth holds a history that is undeniable and immense. This is not one hidden structure, but a dense, tangled web of them, a subterranean labyrinth carved over millennia. A complex system of tunnels, chambers, and ancient water conduits winds through the bedrock, each layer a page from a different sacred chapter. Explorations have revealed remains from the eras of the First and Second Temples, including precisely carved ritual baths used for purification before worship, and vast storage rooms that once held grain, oil, and temple treasures. Some passages, narrow and deliberately concealed, are theorized to have served as emergency escape routes for priests and elites during sieges, a practical secret hidden within the holy ground. The engineering here is a testament to relentless ingenuity, with sophisticated arches and drainage systems that have supported the weight of centuries. But these stones are more than just architectural marvels. Every artifact pulled from the dust, every pottery shard and stamped coin, acts as a crucial timestamp, helping archaeologists piece together an exact chronology of this deeply contested ground. These finds are not merely academic, they are tangible proof of the site's continuous, layered sanctity. This hidden world is a focal point of profound religious significance for Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, a fact that makes every new discovery both an archaeological triumph and a moment of intense political and spiritual sensitivity. To walk these tunnels is to traverse the very bedrock of faith for billions, a journey into a darkness that holds the light of history, yet remains one of the most carefully studied and fiercely protected secrets on Earth. The Maya saw the world not as a surface to be mastered, but as a porous boundary between realms. Deep within the Yucatan Peninsula, a hidden architecture of water and stone descends into absolute darkness. These are the cenotes, vast natural sinkholes where the jungle floor collapses to reveal deep groundwater pools. For the Maya, these were not just water sources, they were sacred portals to Xibalba, the terrifying and revered underworld. To approach a cenote was to stand at the threshold of another world, a place where the gods of death and regeneration held sway. This profound belief transformed these natural features into hidden structures of immense spiritual power, their depths enhanced by deliberate human acts. Modern archaeological dives into these flooded caves have uncovered the physical proof of this devotion. Submerged in the cool, anoxic waters that perfectly preserve organic materials, divers have found altars constructed from stacked stones on ledges deep inside caverns. They have recovered exquisite jade pieces, finely woven textiles, and ceramic vessels that once held offerings of food and drink, all sacrificed to appease the lords of the underworld. Most poignant are the human remains, the skeletons of individuals, some showing evidence of ritual sacrifice, who were sent as messengers or offerings into the realm below. The peril of reaching these sites was part of their sacredness. Ancient priests and supplicants would have had to navigate the same treacherous, pitch-black tunnels as modern divers, their way lit only by flickering torches. The act of descending was itself a ritual, a symbolic journey into the belly of the earth. The discoveries within these liquid tombs have fundamentally reshaped our understanding of Maya spirituality. We now see a culture that did not merely build temples upon the land, but one that actively engaged with the natural world's most dramatic features, seeing them as active participants in the cosmic order. The cenotes show us that a hidden structure does not always require bricks and mortar. Sometimes the most powerful sacred spaces are those carved by nature, then sanctified by human reverence and fear, a perfect fusion of geography and belief that challenges us to expand our very definition of what a hidden structure can be. The desire for absolute solitude took physical form deep within the volcanic rock of Cappadocia. Here, far beyond the more accessible painted churches, entire monastic complexes were carved into remote valleys and hidden behind seamless, false rock faces. These were not just simple hermit caves, but sprawling, multi-level structures designed for entire communities of ascetic monks. A single concealed entrance might open into a labyrinth of private cells for meditation, a central chapel with a domed ceiling, a communal dining hall or refectory, and even a winery and food storage areas, all interconnected by staircases and tunnels. This was a complete, self-sufficient world, deliberately severed from the society below. The architecture itself was a form of prayer, a physical manifestation of the monks' vow to withdraw from worldly distractions. Life here was harsh and focused, with narrow sleeping niches carved into cold stone walls and small, high windows that let in slivers of light for reading sacred texts. Discoveries within these sealed spaces have been remarkably intimate, providing a direct window into Byzantine monastic life. Archaeologists have found not only beautifully preserved illuminated scriptures and devotional icons, but also the humble, daily tools of the monks, their simple pottery, wooden spoons, and oil lamps. Each object tells a story of a life dedicated to quiet contemplation and manual labor. The very existence of these hidden monasteries challenges our modern assumption that religious practice must be a public, communal spectacle. For these monks, true devotion flourished in isolation, in the silent, unseen spaces where the soul could encounter the divine without interruption. Their spiritual havens were not built for show, but for seclusion, proving that some of the most profound transformations occur far from the eyes of the world. The Mesopotamian desert holds its secrets not in deep caves, but in rising layers of sun-baked mud brick. The great ziggurats of Ur and Eridu were not built just to reach the heavens, but to encapsulate the past. These towering stepped pyramids, the very first skyscrapers, contain entire earlier temples buried within their cores like a set of nesting boxes. The Mesopotamians practiced a unique form of sacred renewal. Instead of repairing an old temple, they would carefully seal it, fill it with clean sand, and build a new, larger structure directly on top. This was not demolition, it was consecration. Each new ziggurat layer was a physical act of reverence, a way of honoring the sacred ground without erasing what had come before. Excavations cutting into these mounds have revealed this astonishing chronology. Archaeologists have peeled back the outer shell of the ziggurat at Ur to find the complete walls and chambers of a smaller, older temple inside, perfectly preserved in its sandy tomb. Within these hidden spaces, they discovered foundation deposits, boxes filled with artifacts deliberately placed by the original builders. These were not hidden treasures in the conventional sense, but sacred contracts with the gods. They contained inscribed clay cylinders detailing the name of the king who built the temple, the specific deity it was dedicated to, and prayers for the structure's endurance. Alongside these texts were votive offerings, simple yet profound objects like carved stone figures representing the worshippers themselves, their wide eyes eternally fixed on the divine. The evolution of these artifacts provides a direct timeline of spiritual thought. The style of the statues, the language on the inscriptions, and the choice of offerings all shift from layer to layer, charting the transition from early Sumerian city-states to the mighty Babylonian Empire. This practice created a perfect archaeological clock, a continuous record of cultural memory sealed away by design. The buried ziggurats show us that for the Mesopotamians, history was not something to be written on scrolls and stored in libraries. It was a living, breathing force to be built into the very foundations of their faith, a permanent anchor connecting each generation to the gods and to the legacy of those who came before. Our final journey takes us to the rolling green hills of Ireland, to a place where stone and earth have guarded a secret for over 5,000 years. Newgrange is renowned for its breathtaking winter solstice spectacle, when a single shaft of sunlight pierces the inner darkness. Yet beneath this well-known phenomenon lies a deeper mystery, hidden chambers and niches that have only begun to reveal their purpose. Within the massive mound, beyond the main cruciform chamber, lie smaller recesses and compartments. These spaces, often overlooked in earlier studies, are now believed to have held the cremated remains of the community's most revered ancestors, along with precious offerings to the other world. The recent application of non-invasive survey technologies has sent a ripple of excitement through the archaeological world, hinting at the possibility of entire undiscovered passages or rooms lying adjacent to the main chamber, sealed and silent for millennia. The implications are profound. Each new void could be a forgotten chapter in the story of Neolithic belief, potentially holding artifacts that explain the tomb's precise astronomical alignment or the meaning behind the intricate spiral and diamond carvings that cover the massive curbstone. The engineering genius of Newgrange is itself a hidden marvel. The corbelled roof, constructed with overlapping stone slabs that have remained perfectly watertight for 50 centuries, demonstrates a sophisticated understanding of weight distribution and drainage that seems to defy its age. This was not a crude pile of rocks, but a meticulously planned and executed structure, a machine built for both the dead and the cosmos. Newgrange stands as a powerful testament to a simple but humbling truth, that even the most studied and celebrated sacred sites retain their deepest secrets. It serves as the perfect final entry, a reminder that the quest to uncover the hidden structures of our past is a journey without a true end. Every mound, every temple, every pyramid likely holds another layer, waiting for the right question or the right technology to bring it into the light. These recurring patterns across continents and cultures are impossible to ignore. Whether in the sunken cenotes of the Maya or the echoing chambers of the Hypogeum, humanity has repeatedly turned to the Earth's depths not to hide from the world, but to engage more deeply with it. The descent into darkness was rarely an act of fear, but a deliberate step on a spiritual journey, a way to strip away the distractions of the surface and encounter the divine in its rawest form. This quest for ritual immersion created spaces where every element was meticulously designed to alter human perception, from the disorienting acoustics of Chavin to the symbolic labyrinth beneath the streets of Lalibela. The revelation of these sites through ground-penetrating radar and LiDAR has been nothing short of a revolution, yet it forces a difficult ethical question upon us. When does discovery become disturbance? The very act of uncovering a sealed tomb or a submerged temple can disrupt the spiritual integrity it was built to preserve. Many indigenous communities and religious traditions view these places not as abandoned ruins, but as still active, sacred ground. The mercury pools beneath Teotihuacan or the ancestral bones in the Hal Saflieni Hypogeum were meant to rest in perpetual darkness, not to be analyzed under modern laboratory lights. What these hidden structures ultimately reveal is a portrait of ancient ingenuity that consistently defies our assumptions. The precision water management at Petra, the acoustic engineering in Malta, and the celestial alignment of Newgrange's hidden chambers all point to a deep, empirical understanding of the natural world. This was not magic, but a sophisticated knowledge of physics, geology, and astronomy, applied to achieve profound spiritual ends. They manipulated sound, light, and water not as separate disciplines, but as interconnected tools in a unified sacred science. The universal impulse to build meaning beneath the surface speaks to something fundamental in the human spirit, a desire to root our most important beliefs in the very bedrock of the planet. These hidden worlds were not afterthoughts. They were the foundation upon which the visible world of faith was built. They challenge us to look past the grand facades and see the deeper, more intricate truth that the greatest mysteries and the most profound human achievements often lie waiting just out of sight, supporting everything we think we know. Our journey through these 25 hidden worlds has revealed a fundamental truth that our history is not just written on the surface, but is deeply rooted in the earth itself. From the rediscovered Labyrinth of Hawara to the astronomical chambers of Newgrange, each finding has expanded our knowledge while humbling our assumptions about the past. These discoveries consistently prove that sacred spaces are multi-layered, both physically and spiritually, built upon the foundations of earlier beliefs and hidden technologies. The ongoing work of archaeologists, now supercharged by non-invasive tools, continues to peel back these layers, offering us startling new perspectives on civilizations we thought we understood. As we reflect on these revelations, a compelling question remains: how many more of these hidden structures are still waiting beneath the world's sacred sites? Each one holds the potential to rewrite a chapter of human history, challenging our story of progress and ingenuity. If this exploration into the depths of our past intrigued you, subscribe for more deep dives into the world's greatest historical mysteries. We would love to hear which hidden structure fascinated you most, so share your thoughts in the comments below.